Well, what is up, guys? It's Zura here, and today I have for you my deck profile for the other old Paladin deck for Liberators, not Ezel. So yeah, I don't know which one I want to upload first, but whichever one you see first is whichever one you see. I'll probably do the Ezel one first, so this will probably be after that. So yeah, Liberators. I'll just get to the deck profile. I think this deck is very good. I think it's one of the best decks running the game right now. I think it is definitely tier 1, and all the deck got to make it tier 1 was like 2 cards, but those 2 cards ended up being really good. So, without further ado, this is the list. This is my list for Liberators. Once you do the usual and explain all the cards and why I play them. Maybe talk about some replacements afterwards. So, we'll start off with the starter, the Wingle, right? Yeah, the Wingle Liberator. So, Forerunner and skill at the end of battle that it boosted a Liberator hits. The Vanguard, you can put him into soul to search your deck for a Blast Blade Liberator. This is honestly one of the best starters in the game. Before it was tied to a not good deck, now it is tied to a good deck. So the starter is honestly, I think this thing is like the best starter in the game aside from Conroe and Mecha Trainer. But yeah, starter is very good. I don't see why you'd play anything else. If you play anything else, you're actually just wrong. There's nothing else that you want to play over this. This card is just good. It can get off the board for free, so he can dodge retires. He searches you a good card. He searches you at worst an intercept or a ride, and then the intercept that you search is good because he's also spot retire. So yeah, or spot removal. There's no reason why you'd play anything that isn't the Wingle Liberator. He is the best starter for this deck, and he's still one of the best starters in the game. Next off, the PG. The new PG, the Liberator mark. In Ezel, it didn't matter which one you play, but in this deck it does matter. You play this one because 1, you're a Brave Reliant deck, and 2, he's on name. Being on name does actually matter a lot, especially if you're on Garmor. Specifically if you're on Garmor. So yeah, that's why you play this one over the old mark. But yeah, you're a Break Card deck, so you'd play this one anyways, in my opinion. So yeah. Next off, I'll go over the new card first for one, the Balan. So his skill is when a Blaster Blade Liberator is called in the same column as him, you counter, and if your Vanguard is a Liberator, you countercharge 1. So, sound familiar? It should. It's Dorant. It is Dorant, but for Blaster Blade. In the TCG, he wasn't column restricted, so he did technically get nerfed. But if you think about it, if he could be anywhere, this card would be so much better. You have a full back row of Dorant. Your Blaster Blade could be on play, countercharge 1 to retire, but that is very unrealistic to actually have three Balans on the board. But yeah, this is one of the main things that Liberators were missing before, being countercharge, being a countercharger. Now you have one. I will say the biggest problem with Balan as compared to Dorant and Revengers is that you don't have a Tar 2 to like ship this card out every 2 seconds. Because when you have the Tar 2, you basically are playing 8 copies of Dorant. With this, you have to either hard draw them or hope you top deck one off the top off your random top calls with S-Crad, and I think it's just S-Crad, but yeah. You don't have a way to actually get this card out from your deck whenever you need him to, so you have to be a little bit smarter with when you put this card out, because your opponent sees this, it's probably getting retired if they can retire it, because they don't want you countercharging. They don't want Blast Blade to be a CV1 pop 1. So yeah, very good card. It was a much needed inclusion for the deck because the deck's biggest weakness before was a finisher and a countercharger, and turns out this deck gave them both, so this deck is very good right now. Yeah, both the things are missing, so yeah. In this card, it is the Barkle Liberator. His skill is when this unit when the attack that it boosts a Blaster Blade Liberator hits a Vanguard, you check top 3 and you call a Liberator as rest. So you can't use the card immediately for the most part. There's one interaction I'll talk about right after this that lets you use the card immediately, but this card is just a free +1. There are sometimes if you just don't have the grade 3 you want to ride, being the Breaker Gancelot, and you rode Blaster, and you had the foresight to ride the Blaster Blade and sit on and put this behind the Vanguard, you could just sit on the Blaster Blade and just farm free cards every turn. Yes, it's only checked out 3, so you can end up pulling like garbage at the top, but it's a free card is a free card. A free +1 is a free +1, no matter how you look at it. And there is actually one way that you can use the card you called immediately on the next turn. On that turn is if you let's just say your board is like, let's just say your opponent has no intercepts because it's turn 2 and you went first. You call this behind the Vanguard. or the rear too, I guess. But let's just say you rode the Blaster Blade, you called the Barkle behind the Vanguard, you put like a booster off to the side, you hit. Say no defensive, you don't get a trigger, so doesn't matter. So assuming power doesn't matter. You hit top 3. You call a Gancelot Zenith anywhere, and then you put and then Zenith comes in as rest, but you use the Zenith skill to put the Zenith back into your deck to call a Blaster Blade. And since the Blaster Blade was called off of the Zenith and not the Barkle, you can put the Blaster Blade in front of that booster, and now you can attack with it. It's relatively fringe, but it does come up that as an interaction that does work like that. So yeah, you could technically cheese an extra free attack with it, but I don't think I've ever had it happen to me. Like both me pulling it off or the opponent pulling it off on me. But that is something that can come up, so it's something you should probably keep in mind when playing this deck. And the last one, we're playing the Josephus, I think is your name. Yeah, it's Josephus. On play from deck. If you're Vanguard's Liberator, you can Soul Blast and draw a card. Honestly speaking, you should probably play like Bruno or like Marin over this card, but like I wanted my deck to be extra shiny. Didn't want no poor rares or commons in the deck, but that one slot can be whatever. The Josephus isn't actually that bad a card, so yeah. Just that the one of is like, damn, you saw the Saki one of at the top, good for you. You got an extra card, but like yeah. Yeah, that one of can be whatever. You can be a Marin, you can be a Bruno, it can be the new Gancelot Searcher if you want, but no, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Just the one of. I do think that the Balan and the Barkle are core at 4 for the deck because, again, Barkle's 3 cards and Balan is like the best grade 1 in the deck because he's the counter charger. So yeah. And then next up we have the grade 2s. I don't think any of this changed from the last set. First off, what basically this deck is centered around, the Blaster Blade Liberator. On play, both Vanguard rear, you CB2 if your Vanguard's a Liberator to CB2 and pop any card on the board. So you just on play retire a card for 2 counter blasts. Pretty good, right? Yeah, pretty good. Especially since you have the Balan now, so he's CB1 a lot of times now. So yeah, good card. And you have like infinite ways to dig him. You have the Barkle, not the Barkle, you have the Wingle, you have the Breakride Gancelot, you have cards that can really call off the top, you can call him off the top like that, but you have enough ways to grab this card, but you do still play him at 4 because you do want the 4 copies. But he is very integral. A lot of times it comes down to like, oh, did you have that one Blaster Blade you needed for game? You did, you won. You did it, I guess you lost. So yeah, he's still a mandatory 4 but and it isn't just for the pop because the Barkle and the Balan do make use of having Blaster Blade, so you do need the Blaster Blade to make their other 2 good ones work. So yeah, well, I'd say he is like the only mandatory 4 in this deck. Other cards you can honestly like play around with ratios, but this is the ratios I like. Next off, we have the S-Crad. So his skill is on hit to Vanguard. If your Vanguard is a Liberator, you CB1 call top card of your deck. A stance. So you can actually you can aggro with this card. You can call a booster to let like a other lane hit. You can call it an attacker to get extra damage in. He is really good. He's a card that lets you aggro super early. And obviously calling triggers sucks, but what can you do? You have cards that can put them back, but that's hardly a factor in how good this card is. This card lets you aggro early for low commitment, and it's very cheap on counter. It's very cheap on resources. So yeah, I play him at 4, but honestly speaking, he is still really good. Don't get me wrong, but if you personally don't have him, like you don't just have 4 copies lying around, I wouldn't go out of my way to get them. Like, yes, he's really good for the deck, but he is like the last thing you craft for this deck. Everything else is much more important. That's just a little side note. I wouldn't go out of my ways to get the S-Crads. Next off, we have the Fallon. So this is the 20 shop bar. If you don't know where this came from, he's 10 coupons each, I think. Yeah. So his skill is he is a 12k attacker for Liberator. During your turn, your Vanguard's a Liberator, plus 3k, so 12k attacker. Can swing solo. That's basically all you're playing. He swing solo. He can swing solo. He makes 19k columns turn 2, so he can aggro if you want. Good card. You also don't have anything else, but anything else is better to play. And finally, I'm playing the one Raynet, I think is his name. So his skill is Vanguard rear on hit to Vanguard. You can CB1, check top 5, and add grade 3 to hit. So he's a grade 3 searcher. So again, he's a one of. You can play whatever you want in the slot. I honestly don't think it matters as long as Liberator name. I do think keeping the deck full Liberator name makes a difference. makes enough of a difference that you don't want to play off-lane stuff like Trip and stuff. Which every time I see someone play Trip, I'm like, damn, why are you bad at this game? But yeah, the other slots you can play are like the when something called from deck plus 3k, that grade 2. He acts as like a pseudo Fallon kind of. You can play Galatine as the one of, but honestly, I do actually like the Radiant a lot because you actually have a counter charger now, so you're not like super strapped for counter blast, and getting the Gancelot, the Break Ride Gancelot first ride is, in my opinion, pretty nice, pretty important for this deck. It's not like, yeah, you can play without it because you can ride Zenith or Garmor Force and still be fine, but I think getting that Gancelot first is much nicer. So yeah, that's how you play this. That's how you play one of this. Heck, if you don't like the S-Strats, you can play more of him if you want. Because getting that Gancelot is actually pretty important. And later on you can use him to dig for like a Garmor or like a Zenith to like end the game or like stay alive. So pretty cool. He's that's just the 1-up for now, but who knows, maybe I'll cut down some S-Strats and play more of him later. But for now he's just the 1-up, and he puts in work when you see him, so yeah. That's it for the grade 2s. Finally, the grade 3s. I'll go over let's do first the Break Ride Gancelot. So his skill is Break Ride, give your Vanguard 10k, and then give up to 3 of your rears 5k, so you make them all scale, and then he checks to see if your Vanguard's a Liberator. If your Vanguard is a Liberator, you can search your deck for a Blaster Blade Liberator and add it to your hand. If your deck does not have any, you can add one from your drop instead. So yeah, he makes your board big, which is nice because you are doing multi-attacks with the Zenith now, so the extra power does matter. He lets you scale lanes so that if you clear all the intercepts, you can actually make sure your second lane hits, because all your boosters are 7k, 7 plus 9 is 21, or 7 plus 9 plus 5 is 21. So he has good numbers. And then last skill is the Waterfall skill. When attacking Vanguard plus 3k, makes 21 columns with all your 7k boosters, which is every booster in your deck minus the PGs. I haven't called those off the top by accident, but yeah. What more do you want? He's a Break Ride that does good things for what the deck wants to do, and he scales when you are actually on him. So yeah, very nice, very good card. And then next off, the other old card, the Garmor Liberator. So his skill, the Limerick 4 skill, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist, but I'll go over it anyways. Limerick 4 CB2. You call cards off the top of your deck into open rearguard circles until your board is full. So if you use them with an empty board, use CB2 to call 5. Sounds amazing, but this Limerick skill is big bait. You do not want to use this unless you absolutely have to, unless you like straight up don't have any resources whatsoever. Yeah, but like the reason this skill isn't good is because it is straight up random call. It's random call. You don't know what you're gonna get. For all you know, you can call like 3 triggers and like 3 triggers, like 1 booster and like 1 intercept for all you know, and that's putting it nicely, because you could definitely have game states where you pull out like 4 triggers and like a PG, and you realize like, why did I waste 2 counterblasts to kill myself? So yeah, this is big bait. A lot of times this skill is non-existent. But the reason you do play him is for his other skills. So his other first skill is on play. He gets until the end of the opponent's turn. All your Liberators rear guards cannot be retired by card effects, and they cannot lose intercept. So this card, this slows down the game state so that your opponent can't retire your stuff and kill you. And then you basically force them so that if their Vanguard isn't doing like crit or like restands, they can't like super kill you over anything, because your rear guards are always safe. They have to actually punch into them. And then finally, the last skill is on attack, you can put a Liberator rear to the bottom of your deck to give this card 5k. So you can scale with them. And you can pseudo return triggers, which is really cool. But the only problem is the only way you can shuffle with this card, shuffle the deck afterwards, is like Barkle or the Rainet. Yeah. Extra power scaling is nice, putting a trigger back can be nice, but you really mainly playing for the protection skill. And I'll go over the 1-up first. It's Alfred. Limerick 4 on attack. Vanguard only on attack. He gets 2k per Liberator rear, so he gets really, really big. And then you can Vanguard rear, so you can CB2, check out 4, call a Liberator card. You can actually use that skill now because you have counter charges. You're not super tight for counterblast anymore. So yeah. Just the 1-up. A lot of lists I see do play the 1 Ezel Scissors. I honestly think it's fine. You can play that. This 1-up can be whatever you want it to be, but it's usually either Alfred or the Ezel Scissors. But to me, a random 1-up that can win you a game against one specific matchup is just too it's too, what's the word I'm looking for? It's too like, it's too, it doesn't happen enough. Like, yeah, he can auto win you against Link Joker, but the problem is that you actually have to draw your 1-up, and then you have to ride it. And when you ride it, you turn off your entire deck. And then in rare situations where you're actually forced to ride your 1-up, if you ride the Ezel, you turn off your entire deck. Balan isn't a 12k attacker anymore. Balan doesn't countercharge. Blaster Blade can't retire. S-Crack can't call. It's just too much problems. And then Alfred can occasionally be an okay rear as well. He can CV2 to call a card now. So yeah, I think Scissors is fine, but I think the Alfred is better. That's why I choose to play it instead. And then finally, the last card is the Zenith. So his skill is when break 4 on attack to Vanguard, use CB1 to put a rear to the bottom of your deck. Doesn't have to be Liberator, it can be anything. And then you call a top card of your deck and give it 10k power. So you now have a finisher. He lets you actually get that 4th attack in that all these other cool decks were doing before, where they clear your front row, hit face 3 times, and then have a way to hit you in the face the 4th time, check for the double PG from 3. So now Liberators can do that. Yay, they have an actual finisher now. So instead of restanding in their Vanguard, they just get a new rear instead. But yeah, he is the finisher for the deck. Very, very good. Much needed. And it's cheap because it only counterblast 1. Only problem with the skill is that if you didn't kill them, there was a really high chance that you didn't call an intercept. Or rather, there is a chance you didn't call an intercept. You could have called the trigger, you could have called the grade 1. You hit, they live, now you don't have double intercept anymore, which can be a problem. And then his other skill is, when called from your deck, you can put him back into the deck to call a Blaster Blade Liberator from your deck. If you don't have one in your deck, you can call one from your drop. This skill is always live. You're playing 4, unless you literally damage check to all 4, or you like damage check to 3, use the Wangle, and then like road your Blaster Blade. Like that is so rare. I will say this skill is sometimes not live if you just happen to draw all your Blaster Blades early, because there actually has been a few games where I see this card with no other intercepts. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll call this card. I can put it back for a Blaster Blade, right? And then I realize, oh wait, I can't put it back. There's 1 blade on the board, and it's like 3 more in my hand. Well, guess I called a heal for no reason. But just be aware of stuff like that. Like, make sure you actually have blades in deck or in drop before you just autopilot call this card. But yeah, being a recyclable heal or a pseudo recyclable heal is pretty cool. Gancelot does Gancelot things. Gancelot goes back in deck Blaster Blade. So yeah, pretty nice. And then last skill is the cross ride with the Breaker Gancelot, which is actually really nice. Cross ride numbers is really good. Yeah. This is and you play and I play the Gancelot on heal because he is a trigger that can go back. Therefore if you put him on heal, because you can put heals back into your deck. So yeah, this is the deck. This is what I played a bit. I haven't super like super extensively tested this list up, but I am confident that this list is good, because when I do play it, I do win enough, except for the games where I just super brick, but can't do anything if you brick, right? But yeah, I think that's very powerful now. Tell me what you think about my list in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff. Awesome games after this. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.